Okay, so for the inverse functions, these are all inverse functions, whether they write them with an arc or with with a -1 like that. They're all inverse functions. So what this means is they're giving you the ratio. All these are ratios, and your answer is going to be an angle. And in this case, it's going to be in degrees. So you're looking for the angle that gives you that ratio for that function. So for 5a, arc sine of 1/2. So you're saying what angle gives you, sine of that angle gives you a half. So that would be, and it has to be, because it's a restricted one, it has to be that 1-to-1 piece that I gave you on those small graphs. So the angle that would work here would be, and we're in radians, so it would be pi over 6. Now what gives you a ratio of 0? That would be 0. And then for 6 is arc cosine 1/2. So what angle gives you a cosine 1/2, a ratio of 1/2? That would be pi over 3. And arc cosine of 0, that would be pi over 2. So it all comes from the unit circle. You just have to give the angles that are in the restricted intervals. Arc sine -1/2, so that would be negative pi over 2. Arc cosine 1, that would be 0. Arc tangent. Alright, so for number 8, arc tangent 1, that would be at pi over 4. Arc cosecant -1, so that would be at pi. Arc tangent at pi, square root of 3 over 3 is pi over 6. Arc sine 3/2, well, 3/2 is not within the interval -1 to 1. So this one's no solution, or does not exist. Same thing for cosine inverse of -2. It's not in the interval between -1 and 1. Doesn't exist. Sine inverse of negative radical 2 over 2, that would be negative pi over 4. Arc tangent negative radical 3, that would be negative pi over 3. Arc cosine square root of 3 over 2, that would be pi over 6. So for number 12, the arc cosine of negative radical 3, well, negative radical 3 is less than -1, so it's outside of the interval between -1 and 1, so this is no solution. Arc sine of radical 2 over 2, that would be pi over 4. Sine inverse of radical 5 over 2, this number is bigger than 1, so this has no solution. And then arc or tangent inverse of negative radical 3 over 3, that would be negative pi over 6. So as you can see, the key to answering these questions is knowing the unit circle. Okay, and besides knowing the unit circle, you just have to remember the restrictions for the three functions. So for arc cosine, you know that it has to go between 0 and pi. So the answers have to be between 0 and pi. For arc sine, it has to be between, like this, between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. And for arc tangent, it has to be between pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. So, again, knowing the unit circle. So think of it as 0 to pi would be angles in quadrant 1 or 2. And between negative pi over 2, think of it as angles between quadrants 1 and 4. And the same thing for tangent, between negative pi over 2, angles between quadrants 1 and 4.